Creating the life you want, with Franz, Sidney. Hello everyone, welcome to the show. This is Create with Franz. As you know by looking at the title, this is episode 37 and we are heading towards spring and talking about something that emerges a lot during my session when I see the clients have so much anxiety, low self-confidence and issues with presenting themselves to the public. You know what? Many times it's due to bullying. So that's the topic for today. I've been wanting to talk about bullying for quite a long while, but I was prompted this past week, we are in March, about a really particular story, and that really made me think, okay, we need to talk about this because it's happening all the time. It happened to one of my children, it happened to many of my friends and their own children, and bullying is something that really happens in a lot of schools, but very sadly also happens at work, where people who are grown-up adults, they really do not have the courage to talk to their boss or to people who are above them because they are going to be bullied. And where do we learn this? We do learn that when we are very young. So let's go through this article that I read. Of course, I'm not going to read you the article, but tell you what has prompted me. The article I was talking about is from a woman called Simone Ellin, who is a freelance writer and associate editor of Jmore magazine, which is a Jewish magazine in the area of Baltimore. So this article was written by a person who always felt like she didn't really have much of a great self-confidence, and she had a low-grade depression and anxiety as she grew up. As she thought about it, she realized that this has really changed her outlook on life, and these mental health issues that she had changed her quite a lot. She was originally shy and a little bit sensitive and very self-conscious, but I would say a lot of children are, because when we grow, we become adolescents. We are like that. That's a part of growing, isn't it? But it was interesting to know that this woman decided that it was really time to think about a girl in particular who, when she was in 7th grade, had rejected her. And this rejection really stung. So she decided, hey, maybe this woman remembers me, And so she decided, I should contact her. And then, after a while of thinking, she said, why not interview all the people that were my classmates in middle school and in high school? What a great idea. We can do that now. We have social media. So she did exactly that. And she went to find out what happened to this girl that was so nasty to her when she was much younger and basically hopeless. When you're young, you can't react very much. So this very clever woman decided to interview people, and she managed to interview almost 30, which is an amazing result. One of the people that she interviewed ignored her initial Facebook messages, and then eventually, after a little bit of following up, she said, well, it's a little hard for me to participate in this research because I was not very nice to you, and I'm so sorry. And then this woman, the journalist, said, well, it doesn't matter, I'm interviewing everyone, so that's fine. I don't want to make you feel like you're singled out or anything. And she was very surprised that within a few minutes, this other woman called her, and she just apologized. She said, I'm not a bad person. I know, I thought about what I did to you all the time, and I don't really know why I picked on you. I was so miserable at home. And she revealed that at home she went through a lot of trauma, and nobody knew about it. And so, when she came out, when she went to school, she was very, very sad and very angry, and she unleashed of somebody, and there was this other lady that didn't have a clue. And maybe this other poor lady, when she was young, she thought, oh, I must be really bad because people have a go at me. Can't you see, this is such a big thing. We assume that bullies are nasty people. But what made them become so nasty is how they've been treated by some other people, sometimes at school. As the interviews went forward, this editor realized that even some people that were apparently very popular they had paid a really steep price for maintaining what we call the social standing. One of the girls was a former cheerleader, and she said that the girl in her group were so mean to each other that they grew up distrusting other women. She grew up like that, and until she was 40, she really didn't have any female friends. Then this woman went to talk to another woman, and this one, she always looked at her like, wow, she's so popular, she's so smart, she's so beautiful. But then later on, during these interviews, it was very eye-opening to realize that this woman had to sacrifice so much to have friends, and she felt so guilty because as part of the activities that they did, they excluded a classmate in 7th grade, and it was very cruel, and because of that, this very popular girl felt very, very bad for so many years. In fact, at some point, she called the person that has been excluded and apologized, and this really brought a lot of relief to both of them. And that's when I really stopped and I thought, wow, this is exactly what happens in a rapid transformational therapy session, because not all of us are able to meet the person who has attacked us or maybe raped us or traumatized us and apologize if I trigger you. But, a lot of my clients are like that. They went through a lot of pain, emotionally, sometimes physically. And sometimes they just cannot talk to their attacker. Maybe the attacker has died in all these years, because some people don't talk about their problem for 30, 40 years when they end up in therapy because they are really exploding with anger, with sadness, with anxiety. One of the parts that we use so much in RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, is to, if not possible, to talk to the person that has hurt us, to really talk to the child and to let him understand that what happened was not his fault, and so he can move on, because these people did things that don't make sense to this little child, and these things have happened in the past, they're not in the present, and we need to move on, we need to let go. Other times we are able to use what we call in NLP a meta mirror, which is to really swap places and understand, what, I am you now, you are me, and Johnny will tell you, well, sorry I was so nasty to you, Mary. I was so nasty because my own dad beat me at home, or maybe my granddad had been very abusive, or maybe at school I was so badly bullied by somebody, and so I had to unleash on somebody else. There is always a reason, and sometimes that's all we need, to have a reason why something happened so we can move on. And I'm so glad that this journalist found the reason why these women were so nasty. They were suffering so much themselves. So as Marisa Peer always says, hurt people hurt people. One aspect that was found to be really interesting was that some women were not bullied, and they credited this to the fact that they were swimmers, or they were very athletic during the middle school, during the junior high school years. And because of this, being so physically well served them as a real protective factor. So there are social pressures when you are young to conform to something and to be something and to be strong in a way. And because they were so good at sports, they were able to stand up for themselves, and nobody would really pick on them because they were very confident. And so that is quite an amazing thing. So when you work on yourself, you create something in your life that makes you feel good about yourself, you walk out with this space around you, and people don't tend to go into the space to hurt you because they have some admiration or a good, healthy dose of respect. Another aspect that I really like reading was about picking people to play for your team. You know what happens when your baseball team or your basketball team, there's a coach there and is ready to play, and they're picking up who is going to play. And there's always somebody that is never chosen. And this happened to one of the girls. She was always chosen last, and that wasn't very good. And one day the team captain decided, I'm going to pick her first. And that was the first time. And she said, I will never forget the smile on the face of this little girl. It really made me think, wow, winning isn't the most important thing. Maybe belonging is, isn't it? And I thought it was so beautiful. And I really related because when I was young, I did a couple of years of basketball. And my brother was very good and fast, but I was the shortest, the smallest, the tiniest possible player. I was good at playing, but I was just so tiny. And so when we were playing a match, I was never picked and I felt, oh my gosh, that was so bad. And there we go. Maybe I would have become a champion, but they never picked me to play. Now let's talk about what we think, our assumptions. We sometimes are in a school, in a group, in a work group, or maybe at university or in the office, and we look at somebody and we think, ooh, look at that woman, she's so pretty, she's so athletic, everybody likes her. And maybe it's not true. And the same can be, for men, oh, look at him, he's so strong, he's making lots of money, he's probably really successful, he has a happy family. It's not always the case. And one of the stories that was quoted in the article was about a dance that happened during the 7th grade. And this girl attended the dance. And according to the editor of this magazine that I'm talking about, this girl was the prettiest girl, very athletic, very well liked. So she was a popular girl, right? And she was very excited to go to the dance because she had a wonderful dress that she loved very much. So she arrived full of confidence and went to the dance. And then she saw that there was a group of girls that was looking at her. Well, they were looking up and down and they were giggling. And for her, the time stopped. The dance stopped. She thought, oh my gosh, I'm so mismatched. I must be completely out of touch or not cool. So she burst into tears into the bathroom, called her mother, and left the dance. And here is the thing, it was not a one-day event. To this day, she still feels like she cannot put clothes together. Now hear me, there are a lot of beliefs that we build when we are younger. And they all stem from one single event, and we allow this to define the rest of our life. This happens subconsciously. We see something happening. We make a subconscious conclusion. That conclusion remains seated because there's a searing pain, the intense pain of being rejected, not liked. And then it's just hidden away and it remains there in the background. And when we open the cupboard and we can't put the clothes together, we cannot match colors, there's a little voice telling you, yeah, you can never do that. Remember, you have never done it well since you were young. And these beliefs can be very destructive for our self-confidence, but also for relationships and for success when you are working. So think twice when you think, well, I have this belief that this is true. Well, actually, many times this belief was built when you were very young out of a single event, and there is no reason for them to be still there. But you can eradicate these beliefs when you have a proper hypnosis session, or maybe sometimes even a CBT session. It really depends what you like to do. So reading through this article and many other similar ones, and just talking to the women, in the playgrounds, you realize just how many people hate going to school because of being rejected or not integrated with the other people, being set apart because their beliefs are different, or maybe their culture is different, maybe they speak another language or they're learning English. There are so many reasons why we can shun people because they're different, they're shorter, they're fatter, or they're religious and we're not. It could be anything. The shape of a body, the length of your hair. I mean, nowadays, people can be picked for anything. So this can make the children at school feel very, very unhappy and not really enjoy their education years because they're so worried about how their friends are going to relate to them. I remember a few years ago being told, oh, I cannot wear this at school because my friends are going to tell me off. And I was like, really? Maybe this is a perfectly normal outfit, No, my friends will tell me that this outfit is XYZ. It's just amazing how the friends can dictate how to get dressed. Really? Not all people who are bullied become a victim. Some of them decide to become a bully. And this happened to a woman who was always told when she was in 9th grade, well, you have to turn the other cheek. But it didn't work because she couldn't stand up for herself, and kids at that age don't really stand up for each other. So she dropped out of school at 9th grade, she ran away, and eventually she attended a private school. But the bullying was even worse. And then she moved to another school, and there were so many issues with the children there, so she became a bully. She was kicking them with her clogs. Eventually, they suspended her. When they did, she thought, I'm the strong one now. So you can see there is something there about the reaction. So let's make sure that we teach our children what to do with bullies, because we want to create happy and confident children, so then we can have happy and confident adults who don't go around bullying others to get what they want. One big suggestion that I can have: if people bully you or treat you not very nicely, sometimes they really don't have a really good life, maybe back at home or in general, and it's worth being the first person to take action. But instead of being nasty to them, be nice. If you're coming to sit in the bus with you to go to school, invite them to sit with you and see their reaction. Be the first to interact with them. They might choose not to sit with you, but they might leave you alone because you're now exercising your own big space, your confidence. Invite them to come and sit with you in the cafeteria. Pass them something, give them a chewing gum, give them a sweet or something when you pass. Or show up, as I read many years ago, a very interesting story of a Brazilian family. The child was very terrified of going to school because a little boy was a terrible bully. And eventually the mother said, okay, where does this boy live? And the guy told her, and she said, okay. And they prepared a lot of cookies. And she said, okay, now we're gonna go to the house of the little boy. And the son was like, oh, you're kidding me. Mom, I'm not gonna go there. The guy hates me. And she said, don't worry. So they went there, they knocked on the door, and they opened it. It was a very poor house with lots of children. And the woman said, here we go, we have a plate of cookies for you. Now these people were not expecting anything like that. They were expecting maybe the police or the social services or something bad. Instead, they got a lot of cookies. They were very thankful. They were very happy. Later on, they invited the little boy, a nasty boy, to the birthday party. I really want you to come. Please come. He came over. The little boy never bullied this guy again. He became the sweetest guy ever. And what it took was to show some love to him. You know, he was a person that was growing up with lots of difficulties. And that was it. So when he was at school, maybe he was hungry. You know, you just don't know what's going on with people. So give him the benefit of doubt. One big lesson that this editor of the magazine gave to us, and that she had learned from these interviews, is that you really don't know what's going on in the life of other people. And so we shouldn't just judge and make assumptions that they are just nasty because they just want to hurt. If they really enjoy hurting others, there must be a reason. And sometimes people just need to be listened to instead of being just punished all the time. It was quite poignant to read one of the final sentences in the article. She said, this project has finally given me the opportunity to forgive the women who rejected and tormented me. After decades of hurt and resentment, I now see them as they were, just young girls experiencing their own trials and tribulations, some common to many of us, others more painful than I can imagine. And what she added is important. The experience of reconnecting with these women has helped her to diminish years of insecurity and shame. And so in this moment of truth, she is no longer seeing herself as inferior to these popular girls. So she realized that she is worth it. She was lovable, she was smart, she was unique. It just wasn't recognized then. And so all of these changes, all this understanding of her issue have now increased how she perceives herself, her self-confidence. And she now has a new belief in her power, in her courage, and in her worthiness. So because now her self-image has improved so much, a lot of things in her life have changed. Her work has changed, her relationships have changed, the well-being of this woman has changed. And all this you can achieve also when you have a session to go through what happened in the past, what is molding your present, and what could change your future. So always look at, why am I feeling always like that? If you're always feeling that you're not good enough, that you are bad, and that you're stupid, that you are fat, a lot of people have really nasty names for themselves. You listen to the tone of a voice, and it will always come from somebody, a peer, a teacher, a parent, or even a conclusion you have drawn yourself, a conclusion that is not right. And what I really like to read is the last sentence of Simone Ellen. She said, "For me, confronting my childhood demons has been tremendously healing. And that's something I wish for everyone, no matter who they are or where, no matter how they hurt or were hurt." And I'm so thankful to her for putting some more light on this issue. It's an important issue that we have to tackle in the schools every day. And in my opinion, just to pick up the bullies and punish them, exclude them, it is not going down to the root of the problem. We need to talk to them, find out what's going on in their lives, what can be done differently, because maybe they are suffering and they need help. And showing love and affection helps a lot more than just punish and makes them think that they have done a permanent job, that they will never change, because it's not true. When we then allow the child to grow like that, to be wild, he will then associate with other bullies or with people who are okay to be the servant of the bullies. And if they keep growing up like that, what kind of boss are they going to be at work? What kind of colleague are they going to be if you're working with them? It's going to be terrible. So it is better to tackle this earlier. But if this hasn't happened and you are working with people who are bullying you, you want to get some tools to learn how to deal with such people. And sometimes it's the case that you just want to change your workplace or change your attitude, whichever is going to be easier and possible to do. But just make sure you don't allow these people to erode your self-confidence and your sense of being worth of love, attention, and everything else in your relationship, and also your respect. We need self-respect. And whenever some people offends, criticizes, puts us down for no reason whatsoever, and passes the limit, they have to know they're doing that. And when they are forcing us to overwork and to do things that we must accept because it's a dirty game and, they're gonna really make us suffer, then we have to really develop the confidence to calmly go to them and say, this is not on, and I'm not gonna accept it anymore. And if we stand up to them with firmness, we're realizing that they had to accept this is no longer possible. They had to accept that their freedom ends where our freedom starts. I hope we can build up a better society where people are respected, and not just because they are a cultural minority or a different language or whatever, but they are respected because of the inherent value of them being a human being. We all deserve to be respected. Even if we don't agree with the ideas of other people, this doesn't mean we have to shun them, put them in a corner, or anything else. And let alone swearing or screeching to them or making nasty jokes, it is not on. So I really hope that we all have a healthy dose of respect for ourselves and for others. And if we today are suffering from anxiety, low self-confidence and things like that, many times they do come from these episodes that happened in the past, reach out to me. I can help you. This is one of my specialties, to work with self-confidence and to diminish this self-anxiety and to turn it into pure empowerment. So you know where to find me. You just go to franzsidney.com, or even on Facebook, just look up Franz Sidney, and on LinkedIn, it's exactly the same. So thank you so much for listening to me. This has been a nice half an hour talking about a very important topic. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it, share it, and remember you can subscribe by pressing the button below. And also you can do another thing, you can write a review. You know, if you write a good review, then more people will be able to find my podcast, and more people will be able to find some easy tools to improve our mental well-being. So, thank you for being with me, and this was Create with Franz. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. You have listened to Create with Franz Sidney.